Tell me when I start. Yes? Okay. So welcome again, and thanks for taking part in this wonderful pop-up workshop. We are here today in the Betaport, first pop-up mobility hub, and we explored the futures of smart air mobility today with five experts. And first of all, I would like to ask Tobias Biele from TU Berlin, what kind of future DNA you harvested in your workshop session over the last 1 hour. So please come forward, and you can also explain a bit here on the board.
Thank you very much. So yes, it was a very fruitful discussion. I started with the question of how to make urban air mobility in a way that the public will benefit from it rather than be exposed to the negative implications it might bring to the urban space. And well, democratizing urban airspace use was basically the key word. We said that this negotiation process at the moment is limited, that for the reason that there's less awareness of the potential benefits urban air mobility can bring to the public, and without these benefits in mind, how should the public accept well, negative implications? We said we need more pilot projects, that's for sure, which are focusing on proving the benefit of that technology for the broad public. We emphasized on the fact that political stakeholders need to provide the framework conditions and also to act as an advocate for the public interests in step-by-step expanding the use of that technology. Yeah, we also emphasized on the fact that in this whole planning process we need many stakeholders from the civil society who make the overall use of that technology better, so to say, combining the advancements and the benefits of that technology with new or existing concepts, let's say multimodality, a more compact, decentralized logistic approach, for example. And these innovations, they can just occur when people come together. So this was the key takeaway from this session. I thank very much for this hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Tobias. Maybe one question. Do you see any cluster here out of those factors which have like the biggest value, or like where it was easy for the participants to really find DNA building blocks?
Well, I think very important was this political DNA block, where it was about the question how should and how can local or national politics give the framework for UAM development. Are they able to do so? And what will be their task in that job? So this is a very important DNA to address these issues also politically.
Okay, thanks. We will have a deeper talk later on in the discussion. Thank you, Tobias. The next one we have Jannis Töpfer from Hyundai, and I will shortly change the table. Yes, thank you. And he will also give us some insights into his futures of multimodality.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So as Tobias already said, right, this topic of multimodality is really important to make sure that urban air mobility becomes something more than an expensive science project, right? Something that really provides value. And there are few, as you call it, right, future DNA blocks that we really focused on. One is really looking at it from the customer journey and making sure that, yes, it's multimodal, but that the churn in between the steps is really seamless, right? It's something that flows, that it's integrated with whatever else is there. And that means, ideally one booking platform or one sort of customer interface for your entire journey, but also that the customer data itself, right, the preferences, things like that are really transferred over, and that you as the consumer or customer in the end quite honestly don't even feel like you're being handed over, right? We all know there are quite some challenges ahead to solve this, but this is really something that's important. Another thing is that also this entire chain of modality needs to be ecological, right? It's really about bringing, and be that electric, be that hydrogen, be that maybe some other future green technology, but we don't want, you know, these gas guzzling things in our cities anymore. Cities need to be livable spaces, and that is where something like urban air mobility, right, being fully electric, can really play a part in it. Two more things, I guess, to really point out. One is we also, down in the political realm, right, talked a lot around, hey, what needs to happen? And you know, the problem with this, especially the multimodal aspect, is that it's really infrastructure heavy, right? You got to build vertiports, landing ports, we have streets. All these are infrastructure things that are not, you know, you try it out, you fail fast, fail easy, and then you take it away, right? Things are there. I mean, you physically have built something. So it's thinking through, you know, upfront, obviously, a lot. What is important? Where does it need to go? But then also see, hey, how can this adapt as our mobility adapts, right? How can we, and this is the little bit of a conundrum here, but how can you bring trial and error into this? Now, currently in the mobility ecosystem, especially from the infrastructure side, that's unheard of. Because we like build a train station and then there's a train station for 100 years. But maybe, right, cities evolve, infrastructure evolve. Can we build structures in that mobility journey that as the mobility journey transitions, we transition our infrastructure, right? We take vertiports apart, put it somewhere else, right? We put it somewhere to try. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe the acceptance wasn't as high. Is that something we can integrate? And now turning it back to the political side, right? How can we turn this into a political process that is engaging the community where this would impact us, right? Where, so that it's not decided on a federal, EU, whatever level, but that it's decided and located, right, where the people really need it and where it needs to go. And then I guess the last thing was also, how do we make efficient use, right, of this multimodal journey? And again, this ties back to flexibility a little bit, but a UAM vehicle, yes, we all envision it as something that transports people. But maybe there's also an aspect where the same vehicle can transport cargo at different times when the utilization is not so high. So building, this is as an OEM, right, something that obviously is on us, but building these vehicles also in a flexible way so they can adapt to the mission, can adapt to the time, can adapt to the environment. Those were sort of the big points that we touched on.
Super, thank you very much. Flexibility and adaptability, something like this, I would say. I just want to point out, you added next to economic also the ergonomic, which was maybe, why did you do this? Why is this important, an extra important point?
Yeah, because obviously there's a comfort aspect to all this, but more importantly, there's an inclusion aspect to it, right? We also had, I think, Women Friendly came up here, and right, it's really designing this journey and designing, therefore, the vehicle where people will sit, right, towards a more broader, inclusive, you know, not, sorry to say this, but not, you know, white male sort of optimized vehicle, but something that is more encompassing. And again, flexibility, right? Maybe, and again, dreaming a little bit, right? But maybe that's something where, hey, it's a woman that needs to breastfeed along the, for whatever reason, right? Is there a way we can integrate that? Is it a way that we can make the individual seat flexible enough and therefore, you know, just make more people happier? Super.
Nice statement at the end. Thank you. Thanks very much. Then we go further to the next team, Achim Kostron from D3 Technologies and Sebastian Süß from Spleen Lab. Together they explored the future of scalability and safety and the topic of smart air mobility.
Yeah.
So,
thanks a lot.
To you.
Yeah, first of all, we had a fruitful workshop and discussion about scalability and safety, and as one of the future DNA puzzle to enable all these technologies. And this is basically what I want to point out at first. The main discussion is, as you can see, in the area of technology and also politics. And there are some strong points that we can see that all that what we will develop is has to have a high standard on safety, and also the possibility from the regulatory side to enable these standards or to fulfill the standards, but also to have an open source or open technology which is platform agnostic, that you don't have some closed systems from several OEMs, but a system that you can integrate in the whole city or in the process of smart mobility into the cities. These are really, really strong points which we're here. And also that you have a safe and scalable air traffic management in the end, which all bring all these stakeholders together in one system and not in different systems, so that you have a good platform to communicate between all these operating drones and air taxis in the end. And the another point is that what I mentioned before, that also the political side is here responsible to help to have this try and error mentality, to be open for the new technologies, for give a little bit space in the standardization to try what is possible and what is not possible, and also transform this to the society, to the people there out there. And help them to understand what happened and show them what happened and how it could happen and how it could be safe. This is one of the another biggest points here. And a sustainable business model is also very important for all of our participants in the workshop. That you have not only a system which is maybe, how can I say, so one-trick ponies this is a system that you can scale up and will work for everyone. So that's first of all.
Maybe just let me add one point which was kind of surprising for me at this point. When we did a travel discussion, for the future, at least it turns out that a lot of people want to be a part of the process. So we talk about open source, transparency, try and error. So it was hard to say, okay, this is the future. Let's see what are the main DNA topics, and these are the main pillars which I want to see there. No, it's a discussion. Okay, this topic could be interesting, but I want to be a part of it and develop it. So this is for us very interesting, and I guess it would be very interesting then to see how to make this happen in a way where we say, okay, this is completely critical safety, maybe these are parts which are still kind of adoptable in the future, like Betaport concepts as well, but as it goes, an orchestration of an complete air mobility sector, it's quite interesting to have a next thought on that, because it increases extremely the social acceptance, and if you have the first touch of the technology, then I guess it's easier than to walk the way to create a future in common.
Highly agree with what you said. Yes, it's not possible that one person or like few persons actually develop this future. We have to do this bottom up, and actually, or with all stakeholders or participants or people who live in the city actually to develop these desirable futures. When I look at the value, there's actually just one post-it which says increased community acceptance. But I also think that actually all the post-its that you have here, and you talked also about this, is quite value-based. It's really about including the people in the process. It's about the safety. It's not too much just about technology and how we deal with all this.
Sure, technology is the lever underneath. So exactly. The whole bunch of the services are the value which should at least create value to the population. Otherwise, it won't work as well. Sure.
Super. Thanks very much. Thanks very much to you too, and also to the participants for this valuable input here. And we come to the next topic from Daniela Richter from Windrove. And together on her time travel, the participants explored the urban air systems in smart air mobility.
Yeah, thanks. So I had the pleasure to talk about urban air systems with really experts from the industry. So I got some new insights. I'll tell you about that. At first we were discussing a little bit more about the challenges. So a lot of challenges came into our minds when thinking about implementing urban air mobility. like noise pollutions, the protection of animals is a topic, but also, of course, reducing CO2 emissions by all electric flights. We heard about that already from the previous discussion rounds. What I would like to point your attention to is, of course, we had experts from the software side, so we had topics like autonomous aircraft, cybersecurity, things like that. We also discussed about the use-based concept, so the European concept to really implement urban air mobility and an urban traffic system. This is really a challenge at the moment. So we said regulation sometimes is versus innovation, but we already found maybe some solutions for that, which means like agile standardization or creating legal framework. Think about that. So think about, be more flexible also when it comes to regulations, which is not always an easy target. So the main topics we were talking about, as we had some city planning experts as well, was about urban benefits. So think about urban air mobility that can really bring benefits to the citizens. And not only urban, for example, we had discussed about rural as well. So air mobility has the chance to be a more inclusive mode of transport for rural areas, for example, for elder people or for disabled people. Why not having a vertiport on every retirement home so the older persons can easily get to a city or to the hospital, have more flexibility and enjoy their life outside a clinic longer? Through urban air mobility. I really like that point. I would like to talk a little bit about the last building block, value. This is right where it comes all together, all the topics we were discussing about. So what are really the values? So is there really a dilemma between economic and ecological side? Not really when we're discussing about urban air mobility, because through electric propulsion, we really have the ability to have a cleaner form of transport and really think about the necessary applications that we want to do at first. We were discussing, for example, about a medical health system that can be supported via urban air mobility. So I'm really happy with our discussion round. We found some topics for the future scenario of urban air mobility. And I'm really excited about the future. And we in Hamburg are really eager to support not only the whole ecosystem, also bring in the citizens and really find a good and sustainable approach for implementing urban air mobility. We're ready for that. Thank you.
Super. Thank you very much, Daniela. I really like your idea with the elderly homes to bring them together. And maybe also thinking there, it's not just important how to bring people from one point A to B, but also how do the intersection points, the interface points, where the people actually meet, how do they look like? Did you also talk about this?
No, not in detail. There were so many experts. We had some expert from the architecture side, and that is also for me a new insight via this discussion to really look outside of the box and really integrate experts from other disciplines as well, like architecture. So we really have to think in a holistic way about urban air mobility.
Okay. Well, then I would say we take this question for opening up the discussion and see how can we actually connect all the four topics together to find a systemic and holistic scenario, desirable future scenario. So what would you say? Do you see any overlappings in these four scenarios? Do you see anything that is really like outstanding or not connecting at all? What would you say? And maybe when you think about those intersection points where the people meet, what do we need for people to exchange and to bring really the society together?
One thing, and that is only partially answering your question, but I think what's really striking is that political is something that comes up quite often. Though we don't have really any political people here in the round right now, to that extent that are the decision makers. So I think that is one of the struggles that we're still facing, and I think where we really need to, I guess also from a smart air mobility side, be more agile. How do we bring in those people? How do we bring in those people that quite honestly work on different timelines and work on different motivations? And bridging that gap is something that's going to be key. And we've seen this right through all 4 sort of areas. Without that political support, it just won't happen.
Yeah, highly agree. It's not just the political support, but really the diversity of stakeholders that are involved, and therefore it might need, like Betaport, for example, places where you have workshops to bring those peoples into discussions, into exchange, to create these futures together. Any insights from you guys over there? Do you see any overlappings of the 4? Or maybe from what you've just heard from the 3 other scenarios, could you imagine something that you bring up in the future?
No, what I saw around all the topics is the social acceptance part. This is maybe one of the most important parts beside the political part, because if you don't get the people out there and explain the value of this new future mobility, then it also won't be happen. Whoa. So you see we are live. Yeah, it won't be happen, and so it's there's a strong need to have some cases like older people to explain them what benefits you can have. Then also ordinary working people, what benefit will this new technology have for my life? Is there an impact? Is there no impact? And if they don't see the impact, they won't support this new technology, and then you get problems because sometimes this will be more crowded about our heads, and if the people are against this new stuff, then
that's really an interesting point we were discussing also in our group. So we found out with this new form of mobility, it's not that easy like in before. Also for industry partners, you can't produce a product and just sell it to the people outside. No, they are not ready yet. So there's a need for a cultural change, and also industry partners are responsible to facilitate this change. We see what Hyundai Air Mobility is doing, for example, and there could be more industry players really supporting the change, so jointly work on the topic of urban air mobility.
And sorry, building on that quickly is also, there is a, trying getting this out in the public element to it. It shouldn't be an academic exercise, it's nice that we all write white papers how the future looks like, but it comes to, the incremental approach of showing it, soliciting feedback, and then making it better, right? And therefore, yes, just putting something like here up and letting people react to it, and then next time we're all smarter, and then again engaging the broader public to really solicit that feedback, I think is going to be key.
Exactly. I would just to add that. So we should now start in a phase where it's getting things or making things happen, right? It's exactly what you said. It's a lot of things written, talking. Sure, it's a long-term thing, but and for that, coming back then to the political area, they should provide a kind of a support in setting up areas where something could happen, right? It's maybe demonstration areas or testing fields or whatever, or a with special certification or allowance, and where kind of consortiums or Hamburg Aviation, something like that can maybe introduce. We're also doing that for Munich or other areas, but this is, I guess, now the thing which should be done now, make something happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally agree with this. That's also why we are called Nouveau Applied Futures. We take you into the future, we let you explore the possible positive futures, but it's really about taking all those insights back and put it into action points, decisions. What would you guys think from tomorrow on? Could you imagine, like us or you 4 or 5 standing here, what could be a next step from tomorrow on to really live this, creating discussions, creating explorations?
I mean, for us, I would say, continue on our journey. We've already set that up. The way we're structured is we're really not only focused on the vehicle, but the entire ecosystem around that, meaning the infrastructure, both physically and digitally, also thinking through the charging and, engaging with the stakeholders and embarking on the journey. It's painful. It is painful. The more people you got to make happy, it doesn't make it easier, right? But that's the only way we get it done. And don't shy away from that challenge. And we're actively on that path, and actually, talking to the audience at the Digital One. If you want to be part of that journey, reach out, get involved, bring in whatever you can contribute, and that's what we really need here.
Thanks. Great. From your side.
So for Hamburg, for example, we're about to developing our urban air mobility strategy, and this is going to be a really big process where we want to integrate not only the stakeholders from industry and scientific side and public administration is really important, but also involve the citizens as much as possible. And that's a really a good thing for Hamburg, and we want to integrate the citizens there in this process as well. Yeah.
Maybe I switch to the other side again for the camera to move.
I guess where we are all a little bit fast is this standpoint. Oh, the benefits are obvious. No, we are still looking for proper application scenarios, and we still don't know where exactly this technology can be fostered in the most benefiting way. And before that is not a little clearer, it's hard to move on, also in respect to the public. And I think what is needed from my perspective is really stakeholders coming together to scrutinize on the benefits, for example, on the rural countryside or in other emergency cases which are clearly approved yet. And I think there's still a lot of potential. Dialogue formats are important. And I think also important for the public as well, for the industry, would be a clear vision on where the journey should go to in the next 10 years, maybe. And this dialogue should involve all these stakeholders as we are here today. And then this can be facilitated in a successful way, I believe. Yeah.
Great, me too. Thank you. So, and
yeah, for our I would say perspective or view, we would say let's make it happen, as I mentioned, and we will make it happen in the Munich area because our system, it's related to all these other parts in the whole ecosystem, vehicles, vertiports, passengers at least, sure, as well. So it's about show proof of concept, get people involved, show them how it could looks like, to get the people in the process, what I mentioned already. We will set up this kind of low threshold flight testing area, we call it. It doesn't matter if the state funded or not. So we are not waiting for that. But what we need is kind of the support of, okay, there's some flight areas where we can test it, right? It's about getting things done and get the universities, all these stakeholders included, open source, maybe not in that case that we discussed that everybody can develop together, but we will develop with all these partners the solution together because we need the standard, we need this interoperability for all the partners, otherwise we can't achieve the long-term goal, at least when everybody or every brand is doing that for themselves.
And I want to add one thing there is also, let's try to put things out there, right? Make it tangible, because that also helps reducing the fear, right? Because I think right now to a general public, it's a lot. I mean, we all are now a UAM bubble, right? I mean, we can clearly envision this, but for a lot of people, it sounds like Star Wars, right? It sounds like craziness, and it's really not. When you look down to the enabling technologies, it's really not that much Star Wars, and making that gap smaller between sort of the craziness out there and where we really are, I think that's also going to be key along the journey.
True, or creating more Star Wars fans.
Obviously, always.
Yeah, that's all about what you said. It's transparency, that you show what you can do, but it's also a part of storytelling that you have cases which are you can grab. It's not Star Wars, it's something that's in your daily life, in your daily routine. It becomes part of your routine. When you can show this and you can explain this and show this in both ways, then you will have the acceptance. And if it's one big point, if it's affordable for the people. So if it's a business model which is not only affordable for a small group, like in the bubble, so it's for everyone affordable to take an air taxi and to do your daily routine with it, so in the future. But yeah, the gap is not so big, and so we have to show this, that we are far away further than everyone thinks out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. I think we have to sum up here. Thank you very much, all the 5 of you. It was a really great outcome, input, exploration of the futures, and let's just start from now on and create these futures together, create interesting utopian stories to make the people out there enthusiastic about this, and I'm already a fan. So let's do this, and thanks all also for the audience. Great workshop and exploration. Thank you very much. And off we go.
Thank you.
And now time for water and air.